You want your DIY deck to look and feel like a pro built it? This is the secret. Blocking eliminates the bounce in your deck, makes it strong like bull. Also allows you to have a nice, beautiful picture frame finish so it looks like a pro did it. Today I'm going to talk about the why, the what, and the how so that you can have a professional looking deck in your house. So blocking can go across the middle of the whole deck, and that all nailed and screwed together provides additional strength against deflection, which is the board bowing in the middle under weight. So it makes everywhere you step 3 times as strong. And that might not seem like a very big important thing, but if you have a party out here and you've got 50 or 100 people on your deck, trust me, you're gonna want it. The other thing that it does is it helps keep everything square. So we're gonna deal with the center blocking, we're gonna deal with our picture frame blocking. If you follow my system, you can be successful getting extra strength so that when you put the finishing touches on this bad boy, it's going to look like a pro did it. That increases the value of your house, that gets you equity, and that gets you some mad respect from your neighbors and friends. I measured out over 16 joists, it's 16 feet and a quarter. So what I'm doing is I've cut this block, this is exactly 10.5. This measurement plus a floor joist is 12 inches on center, okay? So we're going with this. So what we do, we got the block cut. Now we're gonna set it against the blade, okay? That's where the cut should go. And take my square, and I'm just translating that line right here. I'm gonna grab myself about 18 of those cuts to get started. And I don't want this huge knot to be part of my block, and that's the end cut, and that's already starting to split. So we're not gonna use that. I'm looking for ends that don't have splits. That's 18. That'll get us started. So you can see this one's way over 10.5, and this one's under, and that's fine. What we want to do is we're relatively in the middle. It's not more than 8 feet. If you have a gap that's more than 8 feet on your deck, you want to do 2 rows of blocks. Now, because nothing here is square, if I line up flush one side or the other and I attach my fasteners, on the other side, I'm raised up because this board, getting the block, is twisted like this. So it's higher at the other end. There is no benefit to having everything perfect here. Tap till they're both below the surface. I got a good 1/4 inch and an 1/8 inch. There's nothing to be gained by having all 9.5 inches perfectly sandwiched together. All right, now we nail. That's more like 320, 350 pounds, okay, of shear strength in that location. Add a couple screws, I'm closer to 500. Life is good. And then over here, we have a huge gap. Yeah, that's just great. Let's do this. We're gonna attach this one, and we're offsetting them so that we can always attach through the ends. You never want a surface nail or screw. So we're gonna go below the wood. All right, we got a couple of clamps, and I'm gonna basically just clamp these 2 pieces of wood together. Now I can nail from the other side. And because we're holding that together under compression, we are gonna add screws because the thread of a screw does a really good job of resisting pull out, okay? A clear, smooth shank nail can really pull out easily. Bury the head of the screw. So now all these threads are in this block, and that big fat head of the screw is in this piece of lumber, and that's resisting the tear out. One more thing, at the end of this install, I am gonna get underneath and add more fasteners to the bottom side of every one of these blocks. My tool is wider than the board. I don't want to cheat and go all screws because it's not strong enough. Having said that, that's the basics of what we're doing here today. Next block. In this case, I don't have enough room. One thing I can do is I can throw a screw in my little cheat board here. I can sit here and just push that apart now. All right, there we go. Following our staggering pattern. A little bit of protection from tear out. So it's always better to close your gaps before you add your mechanical fasteners. All right? It's not going to be perfect. And so what happens is, by starting in the middle, you might end up with your joists, instead of all being perfectly square, they might start to get a little bit bowed over the full length of the deck. That's okay. If you see that start to happen, you just stop. Instead of going a full 10.5, cut one block 10.25. There are a couple here that are a real mess. So let me show you what the secret is for dealing with something that's incredibly twisted, all right? Here we go. Now, guys, it's a hot sunny day, and I gotta start hydrating this lumber. This one especially. Look at this bend. That's just unbelievable. So the secret here is we've got to manipulate this board back to being straight again. But it's got to be wet. And not just a little wet. I mean soaking wet. I want to wring this out like a towel and make the ground wet when I'm done with it. So what I'm going to do is over the next half an hour to an hour while I'm putting all of my blocks in, I'm going to keep coming out here every 10 minutes and I'm going to hose down this joist and we're going to hydrate it to the point where it's easily manipulated without splitting and cracking. All right, so this joist is really way out here, eh? But the next one is like really tight. Maybe we can get this one in first just to help hold this one together. Okay, now, this 2 blocks are only on this one. This one's free, and this one's just a little bit of a mess. So now I'm gonna go get a different tool to help solve this problem. Okay, so pass it underneath. Make sure when you're doing this that the buckles, the 2 hooks, are in a different place than this, and this should be in between the wood. If you do it right on the edge of something, you're just going to be destroying it all. Now we just ratchet this whole thing together and pull our deck together. The cool thing about this is it closes the top and the bottom at the same time. Now that's tight as a piano wire right now. All right, so there's always run the risk of this popping open. What would life be if there wasn't any risk? And because we had to strap it together, we want to rely on a couple of screws here before we put the nails in. So we're going to do one at the top and one at the bottom on each end. I'm going to add 1 screw on each of these other joists as well in the middle. And then 2 nails. Okay. And that takes all the pressure off. Disengage the hooks. We'll set this aside for if we need that again with our trouble board down the other end. Back to hydrating the troubleshooter here. Every family's got at least one trouble child, right? In order to deal with this last one that's all twisted up, I figure it's probably best to disengage the hardware on the hurricane tie first so that I can try to not have any point of resistance. Yeah, that straightens out a lot easier that way. All right, then we'll come back and I'll reset that bracket into new holes a little bit further south. That way I can engage the bottom screw closer to the bottom of the wood and get rid of its desire to want to dry and twist out. We'll start over here and nail this into this side because this is a nice pretty square board now. We'll get a screw into that one as well. Same thing over here. I'm going to use the clamps like a rib separator, I think. There we go. Yeah, there we go. That's going to work out really well. Now we're going to get this one gap closed here. Everything's nailed and screwed. Bam. Perfect every time. There we are. Hey, we're done. Our deck is going to be about this long up top, but the overhang means that my first railing isn't until here. So I don't need to put any blocking back there, all right? And I could put a section of blocking here, and then I could go and find my next handrail location. I could put a section of blocking there about 6 feet away, and I've got my stairs. Nice. But I have this issue. So this would be my picture frame. 1 inch is basically my hand from the wrinkle right to the tip. So I can just put my wrinkle on the edge and go like that. I can set that board, same with the other hand, imagining they're both the same. I got a 1 inch overhang. Down here, you can see the problem. Somebody comes up the stairs and steps with their toe right here, their weight's supported. But as soon as they put their weight forward, look what happens. That's an issue. Same thing when they're coming across. So they step here, rolls that board, they step here, it's not supported underneath. Now, that's a relatively short distance. Not the end of the world, but pressure at the top of a stairs over time, unsupported, will increase the likelihood of breakage. And we just want to try to avoid all these issues that increase the risk of wear and tear. And I'm going to re-engage this in a minute. What I'm looking for now is a relatively straight board. I'm going to start with this one. So let's get this in here. And we're going to throw in screws to begin with, just so that we can make adjustments as needed. I'm creating a very upside down U, basically. It wants to dip in the middle. I'm just setting up a couple of screws here on my different surfaces, okay? So I can use my hammer to either lift or depress the boards. And I want to lift just a touch over here. Now I'm a little bit high. Now I'm just making sure I got a nail every 12 inches. That can carry a couple 100 pounds every 12 inches for deflection. That makes sure that everything is monolithic. Now we've got a surface that we can put our picture frame on. We need to do the same thing at the other end. Okay, there we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take advantage of this nifty little hook area here. So I go for a nice long walk. Here we go. There. All right. Here we go. I love using a black marker for this kind of case. It's about the same thickness of the mark as the blade is. I'm just eyeballing this to see how it looks. It's like pretty damn good. I'm hanging this massive LVL across the back of my deck. I'm going to be able to slide it into position, but I also want to have a block on the end of it. So when I'm holding it, I can lift it and then I can, and then set it. Make sense? All right. I'll invite you into what's going on in my brain here in just a minute. I want to make a channel so that I can set a screw on two different locations where this block is going to end up resting. And there'll be a channel in that 2x4 where the screw head is raised above the surface that'll catch the lumber so it doesn't fall off. Good. Perfect. I like this one. And that slides back and forth a little bit. So I'm going to pull it forward. I'm going to mark the board. Here's the middle of my board. That's my measurement. A little bit of engineering here. Woo! Yay! We got the LVL up. That looks pretty good too. Feel how hot that is, Joe.
Damn.
That's a hard working drill right there. Okay. Don't try this at home. Okay. That's a good cut, eh, Joe? Here we go. Yeah. Of course, because we're nailing into laminated, pressure treated LVLs, we're going to use galvanized nails and ACQ screws. Okay. I'm still missing a block on each side of this deck. Both ends are exactly 20 feet, 8 inches. But now it's time to find out if the deck itself in the middle is 20 feet, 8 inches. I am 1/8 of an inch out. Oh no! On this deck, my stairs go on the left side over there and on the right side over here. We're going go 8 5/8, and that is my gap. And that'll be that 1/16 of an inch snug that I'm looking for. Okay, that's a perfect 8 5/8 right there. Bam. I'm using my built-in hammer here. Now, this is just on an angle so that we're tying this block to the joist. Because I've got 2 joists with this block tied together in this U shape, this is even stronger than the rest of the deck. So I don't need strength here. I don't need to transfer strength from this side to this side. I need to keep this tight. That right there is a T40 bit. Goes with this screw right here. Yeah, that'll hold. Line that up. And bury the head. Yeah, I still see a bit of a bow, not much. See, these are things that you're gonna see with your eye. Yeah, this has got a bit of a bow to it as well over here. We're gonna have to get this one just a little hair off. We're gonna go 10 1/8 shy. Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. Go. Okay. There we are. Let's recap. We got all our blocks in. We still need some nails on the underside. I need to throw in some blocking for my handrails. The post is about 4 by 4, right? The edge of the post goes off into space here. And so they usually put the hole on the corner. And if I put a screw in there, the screw is going to be hitting something like right here and then like right here. Okay? And that, to me, scares the living daylights out of me. Because it's so easy when you drive a screw into the edge of the wood for the wood to split and crack. And then you end up putting the screw on an angle, and then the head is sitting proud because it's on an angle, right? And that's just a junky look. You don't want to finish like that. Over here, I got a post going right there. I'm fine. Generally speaking, we're looking about every 6 feet. So I'm looking for a block here, a block here, and that's where it gets interesting, because I'm also going to be pouring a concrete pad and putting in my hot tub here, because we're Canadian, and if you don't have a hot tub in Canada, you die. There's my 8-foot mark for my hot tub. I am probably going to go with 2 6-foot sections, block it right here, pull the hot tub just a little bit this way, and then I've got to put the railing in to pass my inspection, and then I can take this section out. That's how it's done. I only need a 4 by 4, okay? I don't need to jam it in here and square it all off. I'm just gonna take something simple like 8 inches, okay? Set it in, boom, nail it, be done with it. So here's what I'm talking about. This block I'm gonna put in nice and flush. My fasteners are gonna be a little bit lower. There we are. Now we got a screw surface. And here's the other one. Okay, we're blocked up. All right, let's go get dirty. Ah. Oh, the sun's in my face. How perfect. That's harder holding your head up than you'd think, eh? You're loving every second of this. I can't feel my arms. Okay, this is why older contractors all have apprentices. The grunt work. The grunt work, yeah. Well, here we go. We have a finished deck. This thing is right and tight, okay, and is ready for decking. Listen, guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do so. And if you haven't hit that bell for notification, I'm gonna encourage you, take the time to hit the bell. Because what we're doing back here isn't just putting on a little deck. We're gonna be adding a roof. We're gonna be adding a sauna, right? We're gonna be adding an outdoor kitchen and a patio area, a seating area. We're gonna really deck this place out. All these videos are coming your way. We'll see you in the next video. Cheers.